Welcome back to the Pleb Underground, another monthly live episode. Joining me is going to be Ulric and Humble Bitcoiner. Welcome, guys. All right, we have an action-packed episode. That's right. Sound just like an infomercial here. Oh, actually, wait. You know what? Before we dive into the episode, yeah, that's right. Hold on a second. Yep.
Oh.
That's too bad. I wanted to show that video, but we'll see if we could pop it up anyways.
Right. I mean, that's the engineering. I give you the upside, you have no downside, and I pay you a dividend while you wait to get rich. Okay? Which is...
But where does the yield come from?
It's paper Bitcoin.
Where does the yield come from?
Yeah, I meant to show that before we even started, but that's okay. It's going to be that kind of episode, right? We've got all kinds of stuff like that.
You know what I like about that video is that in the same way, it's so funny, the full circle where Scottie Pippen said, I had a dream that I was talking to Satoshi, and he was saying all kinds of nonsense, and Michael Saylor was like this to him. And then you see Adam back in the same position, just to his right, as he's spewing all types of Ponzi narrative that frankly is never going to manifest. And if it does, I'll stand corrected. But right now, it looks like we're going to be right, Phil.
Maybe, but the point is we're just trying to be accurate and we're learning. All right, here we go, guys. We got a lot to dive into. We're going to take a look at some stuff coming out of the BIS. That's right, Augustus Karsten. He wants to know what is going on, and he wants complete control. Got the SBR clown show. Bitcoin Corp's nuts. Funny post that we're going to take a look at. More 4-year cycle drama. Did you know that we're actually just about to start a new bull market? According to the Morgan Stanley CIO. This time it's different. This time it's big. Anyways, yeah, we're also taking a look at a have fun staying poor fail. I didn't even know that was possible, but Ulric, you managed to find this one for us. It's a good one.
We'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, we've also got the essentially the influencer life cycle. A very interesting post from Predator, who I know gets a lot of hate, but guess what? People are obviously reading his posts because he gets a lot of engagement. So you might hate him, but you're reading what he says. The 10 HODLER commandments, and of course, right? It wouldn't be paper Bitcoin summer with 25 different major breaking newses about paper Bitcoin. Anyways, we're going to dive into it. But guys, you know the deal. First, we got to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor, Archimedes Emporium. We're going to be right back. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right. Let's dive into it, right? The BIS wants to start marking Bitcoin. Central Bank of Central Banks is essentially proposing to create a grading system from 0 to 100 for each Satoshi. I thought Satoshis didn't actually exist. It doesn't matter. Based on transaction history. So just think, right? When you think about this, right? Just kind of like think about the fact that Chainalysis mostly doesn't work, right? And there was, I don't know if you remember, but on our last episode, I ended up showing a post where Peter Todd was actually talking with somebody who worked for a predominant Chainalysis company, and they specifically said that most of the time they had no idea what they were doing. So just think about that, right? When you see stuff like this, okay? BIS proposing grading wallets for permissionless blockchain AML. Like, it's like gaslighting and dystopia all at the same time. Are you surprised? Anybody? Humble, you surprised?
No, never with the gaslighting. That never happens here in this space at all. So unusual.
No, it is.
I mean, they can try. They can try. I mean, how many things have we heard about where a bank is going to come in and project their presence onto Bitcoin. I haven't noticed any Bitcoin sponsored by this bank or that bank. Bitcoin is still standing on its own two legs, and the BIS, you're in our territory now, sucker. And whatever you think you're going to do, you don't have the reach to accomplish it. So good luck.
The one thing I get worried about is what happens if people start getting arrested. I'm not talking about like average, I'm not talking about like your everyday Bitcoiner and stuff like that, but I'm just talking about, because this is what always inevitably happens, right? Institutions like this, which really have no business, right, dictating any of this, they need to create an example out of somebody, right? Make an example out of them, scare everybody else into conformity, right? The best form of censorship is self-censorship. So this is kind of what bothers me. I don't like it. Anyways.
I mean, I wonder if they have like an estimate of how many they think they could tag as unusable. You know, like how many they can just take out of like quote unquote circulation, right? Like, who knows?
But it's just weird. So like, does this, I'm just trying to think, like, does this set a precedent for like different tiers of addresses? So like, if you have Bitcoin from certain sources, like let's say you can't control that, right? Like you're a business person and you're receiving Bitcoin as payment, right? All of a sudden your business wallet gets like downgraded or something like that. So like, but what does that mean exactly?
This is why it can't happen.
Weird dystopian, like this is just psychotic dystopian shit.
Bitcoin's is fungible to a degree, but there is a level of non-fungibility to it where there are going to be more victims, more innocent victims than actually catching perpetrators, which is what AML is all about. Where most of the people that are victims of it, even banks are oftentimes victims of the AML, and they're innocent bystanders. But because of these rules that are put in place, they're hindering the wrong people. So once they try to do this, and mind you, this is so long-ranging. We're talking about businesses accepting Bitcoin. By that time, we have all won. Everyone watching this show, you, us three, we've won. But it gets to the point where you kind of have to start looking at jurisdictions. And it's like, which jurisdictions are actually going to play this stupid game? Because if Portugal says, you know what, this is weird, we're not going to do it. Portugal's going to attract a lot of capital, a lot of attention from the new owners of this new economic world. I mean, when you're thinking about El Salvador, probably will drag their feet with regards to this. These are the kind of things where it's like, hey, if you want to attract capital, maybe you become more friendly to the people that have the money. I mean, and that's what Vermont does with businesses, right? That's what Texas does with in terms of taxes, tax breaks, right? Mm-hmm. And you see the economic activity move to those regions. I think that will happen with Bitcoin when these types of institutions try to stick their claws into it.
So maybe, go ahead, Humble.
No, I see it as a deterrent. You know, like this is something that we could do and we might do, and the businesses are just like, oh, I want nothing to do with that. You know, why would I take on that risk? Because associated with that, perhaps would be the ability to freeze a bank account or have banks say, yeah, you know, I'm sorry, you're under investigation right now. We want to figure out, you know, where these transactions have gone and if you played a role in this. And, you know, I mean, there's just so many things. It's an element of control, obviously, but I think it goes quite deep and it would act as a deterrent first. Which is why education is so important.
I'm just worried that these nations are essentially, so we're kind of seeing the sovereign individual playing out, but at the same time, right? Like I feel like in the near term we're going to see we're going to see nations falling prey to this because they need the money, they need the bailout, right? Like essentially these institutions can come in and they can kind of grease the palms, right? Like this is kind of what the IMF does, right? Like the IMF issues this fake money that only can be redeemed with them, that countries that they can bestow to countries and that countries can pay back to them. It's, I don't know. I think it's a slippery slope. It's so bad. Anyways, okay. Don't worry, guys. It gets more bullish than this. We're just going over the stupidity from, you know, the people that are in the middle of the then they fight you stage. They still think they're going to win, right? Like the BIS, the IMF, and stuff like that. They're still laughing about Bitcoin. So it's like, let them laugh. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to some of the SBR clown show, right? So if you've been paying attention to the SBR, right? I had to choose this post here from Bitcoin Therapist, right? It's from the 14th. United States government announces they will not be buying Bitcoin. Okay. However, at the same time, right? At the same time that Bo Hines steps down and all that good stuff is happening, got U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying the reserves are worth about 15 to 20 billion. And of course, it's like, what the hell is going on? Some people think, I've seen some people think that there's like evidence of, you know, some 5D chess, right? Where it's like, you know what, the US government is they're just doing this on purpose while they stack. I take a much more cynical view, and I think it's bullshit. I think the US government doesn't care about Bitcoin. I think it's an interesting talking point to stay relevant, to keep attention, right? That's about as far as it goes. I just don't think like, I think it's naive of us, you know, like us, the general us, to believe this, that, you know, that the government actually sees anything beyond its own power. I just don't see that. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you think we're actually going to get an SBR? Strategic Bitcoin Reserve? Like, I have to say it, but
I think that it's just a little ridiculous because we keep on getting, you know, I mean, that same guy who put that post out was the guy who was saying, look at what they're going to do. They're totally doing, you know, we're going to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, you know, now he's like, oh, we all got fucking played. It's just like, okay, well, you know, do we have to get all our news from these people? And then even if you look into it, it's very inconclusive. So, man, I'm telling you, like, and I know we discussed this prior to the show too. It's just the engagement, you know, like it's like you're just getting nauseated with all of this engagement. It's just crazy. It's interesting because it's like, okay, you know, great. Thank you for giving me the news. But then you have to actually see what the truth is. And I think we did see this. Who is it? There's a gentleman on X, Astro, and he had gone through, you know, everything. And he's like, there's nothing even about Bitcoin in here, guys. You know, like all of these proposals that we're hearing about with all of these states, you know, and that's a different thing. But still, it's just like, okay, seriously. It's, yeah, do your own research for sure.
You have to spend a lot of time debunking, unfortunately, right? Like you said, we were talking about this earlier, you know, in the show, right? Even that whole Federal Reserve, right, pulling back the program, what we were talking about, right, that special team, right, Ulric, right, that of these people that are going to sit there and, you know, take a look at what is happening with these crypto activities, and what did the biggest Bitcoin news outlets do? They pushed out that this was somehow a win for Bitcoiners. It's a win for you, the little peons. It's like, that's not even close. It's not a win. Like, do you so Bitcoiners are somehow we're like the smartest people, but yet we're completely illiterate? Is that really what's happening here? Like,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah. Because
anyway.
I mean, and Bitcoiners are looking for reasons. Bitcoiners here on Twitter and X and LinkedIn, you know, they're looking for reasons to validate the very scary situation they're in, that they are, oh my gosh, it's volatile and they're feeling it. And they want it to go to 1 million, but they know it's not going to 1 million. And they like when someone tells them it's going to 1 million, because it's almost like it's a drug, like we call it what, hopium. The Bitcoin therapist, I'm glad you mentioned it, Humble. No one has been as adamant about spewing engagement crap than him. And that Vivek for real and Dennis Porter and all of these people. And when you call them out for disingenuous and unsubstantiated rumors, you know, the tribalism comes out and says, oh, you're just a hater. Oh, you don't know this. Look, the United States does not need Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about someone else who doesn't need Bitcoin later. But it's like, think about this. They run the definition of what money is. They have the unit of account. If anything, Bitcoin ruins their game. It ruins their game. In no way, oh, the United States is going to stack Bitcoin so they can pay off their debt. No, they pay off their debt by making their debt more worthless by debasing your work and your time and effort through the action of money printing. So it's like, why do they need Bitcoin when they can just print? And honestly, why would they print money and then buy this money that's hard and people say, oh, it's obviously better. Hey, I'm not going to use the dollars anymore. Stupid. So Cynthia Loomis, in my opinion, she has no better grounding for the things she says than Elizabeth Warren. She is literally the antithesis of Elizabeth Warren. She's our Elizabeth Warren. That's the catch. She's going to go on Natalie Brunell's show. She's going to go on to the Bitcoin conference stage, and she's going to tell you everything you want to hear. We're going to buy 1 million. And then when people start sniffing, it's like, that don't make no sense. Oh, we're going to reprice the gold. And she's going to tell you whatever she can to stay relevant, to keep her vote in her tiny little state of 3 electoral votes, because that's what senators do. Just like that's what Senator Warren does. And the sooner we figure that out, the more free we'll be, because we talk about freedom and all this stuff. We have to free our minds first, man. Like, no, we don't need the government for Bitcoin to pump. And at the same time, we do need to clear our minds and stop relying on the lies from the government if Bitcoin is truly that governmentless, that stateless money that we so claimed it was.
It's kind of ironic, right? People are telling you. So in one vein, you're seeing that like Bitcoin is going to go up, infinitely, and it's the best asset in the world. Also, at the same time, those same people are giving their Bitcoin to Bitcoin Treasury companies so that they can sell shares. Thought it was like the best asset in the world. Why don't you just wait? Why do you need to do this? I don't know. Anyways. That whole thing about the repricing gold, though, that was another misleading, and then we'll move on to the next topic. That was another that was another one that influencers and bigger Bitcoin news channels put out, that it's like, that's it. You see, they're repricing gold and they're gonna buy Bitcoin. It's like, did you actually read the article? No. If you did, you'd see that that's not what's happening at all. It's a reference to a footnote. That's it. That's all there is to it. Like, it's a giant nothing burger. It's terrible. And I get it. I get that, like, there could be good things that happen in the future, but selling that hopium on the moment, right? Like, that's not the right thing to do. Like, it just isn't. But anyways, engagement wins, right? Like, this is just how it works. All right, moving on. Speaking of engagement, we're going to talk about some core versus knots drama. Obviously, I'm not, we're not getting into the whole technical stuff here. We do have to talk about it. So what was interesting, okay, I don't know if you guys know this Bitcoiner. I've known him for a while. CBS, I think it's CBS Pierce. I think that's his name. Anyways, he put out this pretty interesting post. Okay, it's a pretty interesting post that I am going to share. And I don't know if everybody's aware of this one. Jack Dorsey is by far the largest financial supporter of Bitcoin core development. Core contributor grants and sponsorships. By my estimation, it looks like over half of the funding for core development comes from Jack. He is also the lead investor in Ocean Pool, whose spokespeople unilaterally demonize Bitcoin Core, saying it is an attack on Bitcoin, claim most working on the project as having ulterior motives, and unilaterally claim the core project is going to destroy Bitcoin. I wonder if Ocean's lead investor is happy with these employees leading a crusade against an initiative which represents a much larger part of his annual budget and focus. And let's get a zoom in on that chart. So I know it's tough. I know that, like, people don't want to believe it, but the reality is that the majority of the funding for this space really comes from very few sources. And when I see a whole bunch of us arguing over what is, in the grand scheme of things, an absolute it's an absolute nothing burger. It just shows me how easy we are to psyop. Like, I genuinely feel like we've been psyoped by all of this crap. We've got two factions arguing when both of them are funded from the same. Like, if this does not sound like fiat shenanigans, then I don't know. You know, like, the whole entire space is cosplaying and LARPs. I don't know what to say. You know, like this is bullshit. You know?
I mean, I was going to say that. I mean, I was thinking about the meme, you know, with the missiles flying in the air, my taxes at work, and also my taxes at work. You know, can you blame the ultra wealthy if you have, you know, $500 million to throw at something and you only have two choices that can win, but both choices could, you know, 4x, 8x, 10x over the course of a short time frame? The answer is to invest in both, you know? I mean, so I don't blame Jack for investing in both, but what I do want people to have is a greater disposition about themselves, understanding the context of who is pulling the strings, two, what it's going to do to Bitcoin in the short term and near term. And mind you, I'm not trying to get into the techs, where that's not our goal here, but this is like politics. This is like red versus blue. This is like my taxes at work fighting, you know, one country versus another, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, Israel and Iran. All of these types of things, they tend to be pushed forth by the same small group of people. So it's just Bitcoin it's kind of just, like you said, fiat shenanigans in a smaller scale. Let's try to be aware of that. But you won't be aware of that if you're not listening to the Pleb Underground. Not many of the big shows are talking about these types of things. They want to stay far away because they don't want to offend anyone and they don't want to lose their disingenuous follow. Us, we only have truth and accuracy to gain. And the more we have integrity, the more you guys are going to come back. And that's why we talk about these types of things.
And we're okay with being wrong.
Yes.
We're totally okay with being wrong, right? And we'll definitely come back and say that we were wrong.
Hey.
You know, I mean, the thing I like to think about, so with Ocean, when Ocean came in, it was a solution to the centralization of the miners. So, you know, like all of the miners, you know, we wanted to make sure that we didn't have them taking over. So, I mean, that was interesting. That was it's like, wow, okay, that totally makes sense. Somebody's coming in and, you know, kind of like superhero mode. I missed that. You're smiling so much, Phil. What was it? Did somebody have a comment?
No, he has a comment about Phil's pastime. You keep talking. You keep talking.
I'm listening. I'm smiling at that, but I'm listening to you.
No, I mean, so it's I don't know. I guess my take on it is I think it's interesting. I mean, it's very interesting to see that he's funding both sides so much, you know, like you would think that he was kind of all in on Ocean now, given the big launch and how much he was, you know, standing behind the initiative. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's enlightening. I'll say that. It's definitely enlightening. But like, if he saw this as a solution, like many others did, to push back about these powerful miners, you know, like, it's something to, I guess, keep an eye on and, you know, just be sure to keep that in mind, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other thing,
I guess,
right?
to me, it makes sense. It kind of makes sense. It's shocking, you know, I guess, but like it kind of ultimately makes sense because there was some pushback on that he felt like he needed to get involved in. And now here we are. So I guess it'll be interesting to see which way he goes in the future. You know, that would be what I would want to track, of course. Like, is he going to side more here or over there? And I don't know, maybe somebody needs like a Jack Dorsey tracker or something.
Maybe he doesn't side at all.
Yeah,
right?
maybe not.
Like,
maybe he's Satoshi. I don't know.
It's called heads I win, tails you lose. Or
yeah, right.
You know, he wins both ways. And that's what wealthy people do. And we would do the same thing. I mean, to a degree, you diversify to make sure that look, you're gonna win. What do people do? They hedge their bets. You know, when you have an option, you know, that's what's happening with MicroStrategy right now. People are shorting MicroStrategy while longing Bitcoin. Like, this is just the nature of the ultra wealthy, and for the middle class and upper middle class, we do something similar where we can. But this is nothing new, and we shouldn't be surprised. But we should act accordingly and not get so wrapped up in holy wars.
Yep. And I want to bring up this comment here from Rourke. That's right. We actually talked about this last time. Didn't Jack say that Bitcoin will fail? So I actually responded to that specific tweet from Jack, and I thought that he was gaslighting, because it's kind of ironic that he said that in an interview, all the while dragging his feet on implementing Lightning and Bitcoin payments on Cash App. And he actually responded to me on that one and asked me if I had read the white paper. So yeah, so I guess maybe I touched a nerve there for Jack. Anyways, okay, so this is going to be a contentious tweet. Definitely it is not my birthday, Tony. This is a contentious tweet, but I like Shire HODL. I'm a big fan of Shire. So yeah, he's saying this, right? And this is all, again, the core versus not stuff, right? Because again, right, Jack and a very few other people are running it all, but yet at the same time, right, us, the peons, we're like, what do we do? So yeah, he's saying, yeah, we need a fork, but we won't try unless we're convinced basically everyone is on board. I gotta tell you, you know, and this is, I just hate how history is. It's not, I'm not going to say it repeats itself, because it doesn't. Okay, it rhymes, and I hate that this cycle is rhyming with 2017. Now, if it could rhyme with the good parts of 2017,
20x, bro.
Yes, that's right. If it can rhyme with those parts of 2017, then I am all in. But
you're not going to get that. You're going to get the worst rhyme. You're like, this rhyme sucks.
Yeah, we're going to get the fucking the 9.5x, and we're going to get the fucking the dog shit arguments, and you know what I mean, the implementation wars. And I just want to add this other piece. I am not against other implementations, right? People deciding to run, like, hey, listen, okay, you know the rules of Bitcoin. If your client follows those rules and you connect to the network and all that good stuff, so be it. I am not here to stop you. I am not that person. You know, so to me, like, you can run whatever the hell you want. The fact that we have these implementation battles, I don't think it's a bad thing. But I do think it's a bad thing when we start calling each other, you know, we start getting into the ad hominem attacks. We start getting into, you know, that like this person is, you know, like this person is, you know, funded by evil, and that person's funded by evil. Not, you know, guys, they're funded by the same person. It's the same person. So you could just drop that one, you know, or the fact that, like, you know, core is malware, you know, or something like that. Like, that's just like, look, I get it, right? I don't like that either. But that lying about it doesn't actually make it better either. Have a genuine argument, right? Have like some type of a proper, like, use a proper stance. Like, using stuff like that is, to me, like, you know, it's cheap. Again, to each their own, but you know, that's not going to be the argument that wins the war.
The sad part about the people that push forking is that they really need everyone else, and they don't want to fork because they need them. They need, guess what? The forkers need the spammers, and the spammers need the forkers. At least in this current state. Maybe that will change, but it's funny to see the fork arguments when it's like, yeah, you know, you don't want to blow up Bitcoin's network. You don't want to divide this thing while it's winning. But to each their own. You know, if they have their opinion, and if they want to fork, it'll be an interesting dynamic. It'll be fun to watch from the sidelines while I do nothing.
I mean, you know, when I wasn't around for 2017, unfortunately, nobody orange pilled me. But you know, I'm thinking how different it's going to be, because there's just going to be so many campaigns, the dissemination of information. You know, it's like to get the information out there. You know, all these paid promoters, influencers, and so forth, to be able to spread information, to get people to take one side or the other. It's so much stronger now. It's so much stronger. So like, That's going to be interesting. Like, who's going to open up their pocketbooks and fork out? There's going to be quite the battle. There's going to be quite the battle to try to turn people off to one side or the other.
I think that's a good point. And
that's a very good point. Dang it.
Yeah.
And that money is going to be
sometimes
it's going to be like, Phil, man, we really need you to shill this, man. And you're going to have to turn that money away. Here it comes, man.
Update your LinkedIn.
Here comes that Knox money, man.
In all fairness, Pleb Underground has been solicited once upon a time by taproot lizards and stuff like that, and we had to say no to that stuff. So, yeah, that's part of the fun. It's part of the fun, right? All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about some more contentious stuff. The 4-year cycle. Let's talk about this. This is something else that people can't seem to get over. Everybody argues about
cycles are over.
I don't know who this account is.
I do.
I don't. But here we go. It's obvious why orange pillars all want the 4-year cycles to keep happening. They think that's their edge. LMAO. They're gonna stack so much next crash, bros. Even though last time they panic sold and all thought they would buy back at 10K. Total losers. Yeah, some people do. Some people make a lot of mistakes. So hold on a second. We're going to tie something into this, okay? These are some hopium charts with the 4-year cycle. That's right. So now we're getting to the point in the show where there's a little bit more hopium, okay? We're drifting away from the bad news. We're drifting into the
start with the hopium, Phil. That's how you.
No. I start with the anger. I want people to get upset so then we can make them feel better, right?
That's the proper way to run a church, man. That's how you keep the real conviction. I love it, man.
One of my most evil bosses, who, and I shit you not, okay, probably made the most money for the company that I worked for, always used to tell us, right, that you want to have a customer in pain because you're offering them the solution.
Amen to that. See, that's it, man.
It's evil. It's evil.
They can't. You don't know why. You won't buy Bitcoin if you don't know why you need it in the first place. Why do I need Bitcoin? I'm fine. It's like people have to feel, people have to see that. I don't want any of that. Give me that. Well, it just so happens. And it's not salesy. It's not a bad thing. It's helping you to wake up to there's a problem. Pleb Underground's trying to show you the problem. Here's where you need to do. Here's where you need to go and make sure you have that solution. It's just the proper way to do things. And most people, they kind of ignore the problem so you can just get all the frills. And then when things go bad, you're like, why am I here in the first place? And then there's no conviction.
I want Ulric to be our spokesperson.
I know.
Like I do a terrible job of shilling our stuff. I'd
just be all fire and brimstone, man.
Like over and over again, like nothing, Okay, let's take a look at some of these hopium charts. Let's get happy. All right, so here we've got the this Mags account. Here we go. 500-day strategy is still on track. Okay, guys, this one, I haven't heard too many people talk about this one. So we're going to discuss this because guess what? The 5-year strategy, guys. Wait, hold on. Let me go back. What was the date? August 6th. All right, well, we don't have too many days left. But according to this chart, you essentially want to be selling. You want it to be selling at like approximately 26 days after that post that I showed. So, you know, much time, guys. Like early September, right? Okay. I mean, look, it looks good, right? It looks good. It's that whole hindsight 2020 shit. Okay, do I really think that the bull cycle's over in like 18 days or something, or 16 days? No, I don't. Do I kind of want that chart to be accurate? Yeah, because that means that we go up exponentially in the next 3 weeks. Like we're talking elevator lift, like melting your face, your pants are falling off, and like people around you are just catching on fire.
That's a lot of emotion.
Yeah, and all of that is just total metaphoric. Like none of that is real, right? It's all just metaphoric.
I think we should ask BitBoy Crypto. That's who I depended on, Like, oh, no. Everything's fine until like the fall. And that's the winter. That's what you want to sell. Just sell it then. It's all good.
But here's
you're taking to this bull cycle.
The funny thing about those charts is that, they do impact whether it's chart archaeology, Mercury in retrograde chart astrology. The catch is that a lot of people subscribe to these types of patterns, and a lot of people have a lot of money in the bank. And so they are bound to react to certain things, certain time frames, and say, hey, me with 1,000 Bitcoin and this other guy with 1,000 Bitcoin, this other guy with 5,000, we think the bull market is over now. And that's probably how it happened back in the day. Now there are a few more players nowadays with, and Bitcoin is a little bit more tied to global economics, but the cycle still doesn't seem to be over. Like, we're still seeing similar patterns. I'll say the 500-day thing, I think, as a mathematician, you gotta have, some sort of standard deviation. So what's one standard deviation on that chart? And is it still true? And the standard deviation is probably plus or minus, 2 months. In fact, I did a video back in, I want to say December, about, I said, the top of the market is in September, just kind of like spitballing things, talking about certain things that may impact it. And guess what? We may have that, but I will say that I was expecting with regards to things that cause more money to fall into more high risk assets like the Fed reserve rates. All those rates were, and we'll talk about that later, but all those rates that were expected to reduce in the spring, they're gonna drop in the fall. So that's 6 months later. So does that extend our 500 days to another 180 days or another 60 to 90 days? Yeah. So I think that our bull market, just from a tea leaves kind of thing, we could see the end of the year, even into January, as long as there's a lot of economic liquidity coming into the market via the Federal Reserve. There's going to be a reason why Bitcoin will be a sought after asset. And it could extend the bull market longer than we expect.
All right, I'm bullish. Humble.
Always bullish.
Oh, me.
So,
all right, I'll buy some.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, I'm sure all of us have people coming up and saying, okay, oh my gosh, you're that Bitcoin girl or guy, right? Probably guy. That's the larger percentage. And then they're just like, so tell me, how do I do this? How do I get it? I was at a funeral today, and somebody came up to me and recognized me and had asked me that. So, like, my response is like, yeah, I can definitely help you. And then of course my husband's there and he's just bullish as hell on everything, and he's just like, there's never a bad time to buy. And I'm just like, well, like, you don't want to go all in right now because it's going to go down a little bit. I mean, we've been climbing and just, So what are you guys telling people? Like, I'm sure you're having people approach you. So like, what do you don't want to make any recommendations, but at the same time, they're looking to you to help them. So it's like, what advice, given the uncertainty, and are we going to have these cycles or are we not going to have these cycles? I mean, obviously we're having the cycles, but are they going to react the way they have in the past? Or yeah.
First of all, no, I'm never wrong. We talk about this,
Okay,
J-Dub.
yeah.
I haven't been wrong yet.
Did he get the memo?
He hasn't. He just said he's gotten the memos. He just ignores them. Second of all, with regards to Humble's question, I say, look, if someone wants to say, hey man, I'm trying to buy, they say I bought Bitcoin. Yeah. I say, okay, this is your 5-year plan. This is not for you to sell in 6 months. You have to understand that you're going to see something now. You're going to see something in 6 months. You're going to see something in 2 years, and it's going to flip you out. The more you have in it, the more it's going to stress you out. But you have to do your research, and you have to play this game for at least 5 years. And once you play it for 5 years, you'll realize you probably want to be in it a little longer than that. But during that 5 years, you have to understand what you're getting into. And if you're willing to do that, this is for you. If you just kind of want to make a play, I mean, you might as well just play penny stocks, because that's where your mind is right now.
I think you nailed it. I mean, that's, you got to meet people where they're at, right? And a lot of times it's difficult to accept because, right, we're we're so excited, right? We're all passionate talking about Bitcoin, so it's like you want them to, it's like you want that passion to come across, but at the same time, that person may not be looking for that, right? They're just looking to figure out, like, should I buy this other shitcoin, right? Like, what about this other thing, and that's kind of it. So for me, I just try to gauge, right? Like, what is this person really asking me? Are they genuinely asking me about Bitcoin, or are they asking me what shitcoin should they be buying? Because for real, like, and it goes back to your point, right? Like, is this person genuinely looking to store their value, or are they looking to, to win, play stupid games and win stupid prizes? If that's the case, then I'm not going to be able to help them with that. So yep. And when it comes to, like, whether they should be buying, okay, that I hate that question, because really you can't answer it. You can't, and you're going to have to answer it. So you give an answer, but it's and of course, right, the answer is, well, of course you should buy Bitcoin because it's going to go up forever. Yes, indeed. But I always, and again, it's the more, like, measured approach. I always tell people, like, don't buy what you can't afford. Like, I'll never recommend to people to take loans, right? I'll never recommend to people to take, like, second mortgages against their house to buy more Bitcoin or anything like that. I understand that some people do this and they do this successfully. And I understand that they don't, that they're, they are more, what is it, risk averse? Or, well, anyways.
No, I forget the, now that you say it, I forget the opposite, but they are not risk. Let's just say they're not risk averse.
Exactly. Right. And so look, right, they can handle that. And to me, like, this is where it comes, where, like, a person has to know themselves, right? They have to know themselves. They have to know what they can handle. They have to know what their risk tolerance is. It's like, personally, I like to sleep at night. I don't, thank you. Rourke just called it risk on. Yes, exactly. Like, to a certain extent, I know it sounds hypocritical. I don't believe that holding Bitcoin is risk on. So for me, with this level of risk, like, I'm good with this. But if you're talking to me about, like, taking second mortgages or taking loans and, doing the stuff like Sonny Poe does with the, the credit card circus, hey, it works for him, right? Again, it works for him. I don't think it works for everybody, right? Not everybody has the same spending habits. So it is, like, I'm sorry, it's such a long-winded answer, but, like, this is what people get stuck listening to when they ask me whether they should buy Bitcoin. And that's why I don't orange pill a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay, let's what are we looking at? All right, yeah. We said we were going to talk about the Fed stuff, huh? All right. So this is, I know that some Bitcoiners don't want to admit that there's a world outside of Bitcoin that affects Bitcoin's price, but hear me out. There's a whole world that exists without Bitcoin. And they're not paying attention to us. They're not paying attention to Bitcoin's charts or anything. They're paying attention to what these fools are doing, all right, with their oracles. And here we go. According to UBS, 100 BPS of Fed rate cuts, basis points, starts in September despite price pressures lasting into 2026. So we're still, I could see the markets are hopeful still for the rate cuts. Right. I know that, what is it? Like, some people were, like, saying, oh yeah, no, we're definitely going to get two. We're definitely going to get two. I don't know. That number's coming down to one soon.
Two, like, right away, or you mean two for,
like, two
for the end of the year?
Until the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all in one shots. I'm sure they've done it, but I've never paid attention.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I mean, if you look at futures, which generally aren't wrong.
True.
Yeah. They say it's like an 85% chance of getting one cut this next one, basically a month from now. With regards to two or even three, there's a chance for three. There's a chance for two. I just don't. The problem is that when you hear things from Trump, and mind you, I voted for Trump. Everyone knows I'm conservative and I'm okay with him. But when you hear the narrative that he says, like, we got to go to zero, and then people treat that as gospel truth, seeing as we are going to zero, that's not necessarily true. When Scott Bessett says he's pleading with the Fed to drop rates 150 basis points. I'm like, yeah, and guess what? People treat that as like, so that means we're going to drop. That means that, oh, like this is the art of the deal. We're gonna like split the difference and go down 50 basis points or 75. Like, no, like, look, we're living in a world that's owned by Jerome Powell. Some people call the chairman of the central bank the strongest person in the world. He makes the rules no matter what. And Trump, he's not scared of Trump. Shit. He's going to retire in June. Why does it matter if Trump or Bessent puts pressure on him? What are they going to do? Kill him after he retires? No. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to see exactly what those Fed future rates say. You're going to get 25 next time. You may get 25 the next time after that, or you may skip it and get one in December. Stop being greedy. Stay humble. Stack sats. No, J-Dub. Like, no one thinks you're getting 50 BPS next time. Like, I don't know where you're getting that from. Please show me your sources that doesn't say Scott Bessent is asking Jerome Powell. It's really, come on, man. I tell people you're my buddy. You can't be saying that nonsense here, man. You look crazy.
I feel bad. I got to go back here. There was a comment. Oh wait, Humble, did you want to say something on the Fed rate?
No, I'm good.
Well, we'll go back to the Sailor stuff with the intelligent leverage. Your question actually about what do you tell people whether to buy Bitcoin, and Rourke made a funny comment, right? Yes, and Sailor calls it, dude. This
if
is
I
so
see
funny.
that again.
So him, Consorti, and like a few of the other guys, right, have all been using this buzzword. Okay,
phrase,
and I have to say it if nobody has said it yet, right? The reason why it's called intelligent leverage is to make you think you're smart while you do this, right? It's the same thing as these laws that they come up with that are actually the opposite of what they do, or these bills and acts that they come up with that are actually the opposite of what they are, right? Like the Genius Act, right? You know, and like, or the Patriot Act and stuff like that. Like,
wow, facts.
Dude, it's nonsense. This is such nonsense. So intelligent leverage is like, these words are just meant to make you feel good while you make big effing mistakes. Okay, like that's all.
And also the guilt trip the people who are opposite you. So it's like, hey, anyone who does this is intelligent. That implying that anyone who doesn't, they must be idiots. And so it's like if you want to be with the cool, smart kids, I'm like, gosh, these people really didn't get beat up enough in high school. Like, so they need to hang out with some mean Bitcoiners that will stuff them in lockers, because I feel like that's what needs to happen. Intelligent leverage, like get the GTFOH, man, GTFOH.
It's so cringe. Talking about people getting stuffed in lockers before we show some serious hopium video. This is definitely gaslighting, and these people need to be stuffed in lockers.
Oh yeah, the Barons.
Yeah, I reflect
Financial Times.
No, but look, some on Wall Street have doubts. You think? You think? Like, you have people on TV saying out loud how they remove things out of the basket and put things into the basket to change that number. And this is what we're seeing, that this is what people are getting paid to report. You never have to wonder, like when the people who choose not to be a part of society, I sometimes think they have it right, because they see this show, they see this circus, and they're like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And they walk away, and we think they're nuts, right? We see them on the street, they talk to themselves, they're bums, they live in cardboard boxes and stuff. You know what? That guy probably has more freedom than me. In all fairness, I get that he probably has worse hygiene than me, but he has more freedom. So, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Like when I see this kind of stuff, it's like, how do you even, if you're the kind of, if you're working in a position that specifically chooses the basket of goods to measure the CPI, how can you in good conscience do that job and not turn to your colleagues and be like, we're just lying to them, aren't we? Like, do they not have that conversation? Do they have that conversation? Like, we're just going to lie to everyone and it's okay.
I mean, the funny thing is you can probably find a few other Barron's articles where they're just like CPI is the Bible. It is everything, you know? And so it's just, they just feed you stuff, you know, and the people that don't have time to pay attention. I mean, and even some of us, you know, like some of us don't have time to pay attention, but we're not eager to be sharing. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Don't pay attention to any of the media. That's for damn sure. I think we all know that.
I mean, it is group thinking that, I mean, mathematicians would call economists, you know, we say they use fake math, and they essentially do. They make up things and they stamp it as this is truth, just like Humble said. And then, but because they have control of the money, it's kind of like they make the rules, right? You know, Bitcoiners, I mean, one of the foundational things that people read the Bitcoin Standard, right? And Saif will talk to you about, you know, what is CPI? That's like his claim to fame. And anyone who gets into Bitcoin and they really go down that rabbit hole, it's kind of like the first thing that they see. You know, the central bank and the owners of this economy are trying to pacify you as they essentially steal your wealth slowly, so slowly that you can't notice it. At least in America, other places you see it, you know, that's why they have to stack bricks in Argentina. But it's like at some point, it's like I guess the good thing about it is that the Overton window maybe is shifting a little bit for the sake of, you know, some sort of logic with hard money, some sort of logic saying, hey, now if everyone's reading Barron, is one step closer to realizing that Bitcoin is an answer for the greater population of the world. So I guess that's good, but it's like, how many times do we have to say, I told you so?
Yeah, but those same people will be told something different from Barron's in the future, and they'll be like, oh, wait, now I have to think this way. So it's like you're capturing a small percentage of the people who are just like, well, I'm going to start thinking for myself for a moment here because I'm a little confused. You guys told me something different before, so now maybe I should look into this. But that's such a small percentage, you know. And then in the future, it's like, no, CPI is the Bible. Like whoever was thinking what they were thinking before and whatever we wrote before was just like crazy. So I mean, that's ultimately the problem is people don't think for themselves. They're just totally and completely so busy. They're dependent on the media to tell them what they're supposed to think and feel and act. And
human beings at our core are lazy, but at the same time, we're also social creatures. So the incentives, right? Like it's interesting. The tools that we use in order to solve problems are the same tools that create the problems. So it's like, anyways. It's an interesting scenario, and this is kind of where we get into the whole philosophical aspect of like the duality of humans and like the implicit hypocrisy of people. Like people just by nature we're all humans are hypocrites. So it's very interesting. You mentioned math, and I just wanted to say that I think George W. Bush Jr. isn't really famous for saying anything really that intelligent. However, one thing that he did say, which I thought stood out, was that's fuzzy math. And that's what that made me think of when you were talking about, you know, like they just stamp the approval, right? They stamp the truth approval on it. It's like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Because when you have the power, it can be fuzzy math. Someone else is going to tell you it's true, right? And it's, anyways. All right. We're going to move on, guys. That's it. I promised you hopium. Damn it. We're going to deliver. Let's do it. The CIO of Morgan Stanley, right? Who doesn't want hopium from the legacy systems? The best hopium.
In sort of a 3-year rolling recession, and that the end of that recession ended in April with the tariffs. That was the final capitulation. So we think that's a new bull market, right? We think the bear market ended in basically April. It was a pretty nasty one. There were several, along the way, and that was the final flush. And now we're in a new bull market, and capital markets activity is just another sign that analysis or that conclusion is probably correct. We believe we've been in sort of a.
That's right. Okay. Bull market. So everybody who thinks it's going down, we're not going down. We're doing the elevator up. Or no, sorry, the stair step up. I know. It's stair step up, elevator down. I know. But yeah, I mean, look, CIO of Morgan Stanley, right? He's been loading up on the bear market. He's ready to sell shares. Now he's telling everyone it's the bull market. We need people to buy all these products. Tell them it's a bull market.
That really is what it boils down to. Because when you look at history and 1984, everyone, people forget that Tesla was like at an all-time high in December, right? And Nvidia has been pumping since it's been outpacing or pacing with Bitcoin. But then you can also say that those 2 or 3 companies, the Mag 7 or the best 3 of the Mag 7, I remember seeing a chart. Oh, I put this chart in one of my recent videos that they are outpacing the rest of the S&P 500. They're essentially propping up the S&P 500 where the rest of it is kind of flat. So it's like you have Microsoft, Nvidia, and maybe Tesla, I forget. But the catch is like you have, maybe he's talking about the bull market for the rest of the skeleton dead companies out there. Maybe now everyone gets to get their 10% up before we sell off 30%. Maybe that's what he's referring to. I don't think he's paying attention to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been going up since 2023 when those stupid banks failed. It propped Bitcoin up 25% in the month of January, and we've been up ever since. A month here, down here or there, maybe sideways here or there. For the most part, we've been up for 2 years. We expect to go even higher at the end of this year before we start seeing some scale back, in my opinion. But yeah, these big, powerful people, just like you saw Barron's, what they're going to do, they're going to tell, just like you see with people in the Bitcoin community, aka the Treasury companies, they're going to say, look, man, buy my stock. We're here for the long haul. This is where we're going. And they need you for exit liquidity. Otherwise, how are they going to max out their gains? So I'm not saying that Bitcoin's not always a great time to buy. If you're holding for 8 years, of course you want to buy now, yesterday, last week, tomorrow. But don't be a stucky for these people in suits with fancy smiles and a television platform. They're using you. And sometimes we have to remember we have to cut the cord and work out our own incentives, do our own research.
Yeah, well said.
And I'll just fall back on what I said earlier. They're going to tell you what they need to tell you to get you to do what they want you to do.
Yep.
Like Ulric basically said.
It's the truth. It's unfortunate.
Just extremely long-winded.
It was. But I mean, it gave more context. So that's good.
Context, but it's okay.
Exactly. It's very good. Yes.
All right, we are gonna move on over here. Actually, you know what? Let's do the before we dive into the Bitcoin Treasury, big Bitcoin Treasury mess. This was a pretty fun. This was a pretty fun one. This is the have fun staying poor one, right? So Saifedean retweeted this Poetic Flacco account, right? Drake shares a photo of one of his safes, right? So this is Drake's safe, right, with all these tons of cash. And so Ulric responded back, right? He retweeted this and he goes, people saying have fun staying poor to one of the wealthiest entertainers of all time. Number 1, that's not how the phrase works. Number 2, dude will be fine. Number 3, keep your eyes on your own paper. So I'm obviously going to let you explain this one. I know that you and I both see eye to eye on this. Please explain how Saifedean was using the have fun staying poor line incorrectly.
Yeah. I understand. We have little Bitcoiners are bristly and everything, and we're supposed to you have the Max Kaisers come out and he protests, have fun staying poor to the bankers that won't buy Bitcoin, that won't admit Bitcoin is right. And to a degree, I agree with them. Of course, the bankers, the JP Morgan say they don't want Bitcoin. And what does Max Kaiser say? He says, have fun staying poor. And Max Kaiser becomes a billionaire, and those people stay flat or whatever their gains are, not gaining as much as the OGs. I get it. However, let's scale it back to individuals, okay? Let's scale it back to this person who's working this job and that person who's working this job and that person. Saifedean says, have fun staying poor because Drake shows $2 to $6 million in a safe. And it's like, okay, so that's all he has, really? Like, if you a common search would show that Drake is involved in fine art collection. He has a bunch of car collectibles, and he had a diamond studded ledger back in 2021, where half the people in this space now haven't been in Bitcoin as long as that. We have a bunch of people, the Bitcoin army, who just got here in 2023. And we have a bunch of people shilling Bitcoin treasury companies like it's equivalent to Bitcoin. I'm like, we're not saying have fun staying poor to them. Look, at the end of the day, there's a certain demographic of people that need Bitcoin: the middle class, the working class, the people that are wage earners. Because guess what? We get a paycheck that's continually going down. Drake writes his own checks. If he performs at Madison Square Garden tomorrow, it's $100,000 or $1 million. If he performs in 2 years, it's $2 million. Why? Because inflation goes up, and his handlers know that, and they get to write, and they say, this is what he's worth now. He's always worth a percentage of the economy. So technically, he doesn't need to preserve his wealth. He continually makes more as money is printed. So people see that and they get on, yeah, have fun staying poor, Drake. You just look like idiots. Like, let's focus on what we need to focus on, which is creating value, understanding the difference between wage earners and I would say asset owners. And let's stop looking like little ankle nibblers. It's embarrassing.
I mean, that was just pure mic drop. That was pure mic drop. I got nothing.
Why does Side need to do that? Because of engagement. He knows that all y'all are going to retweet him, and it's going to make him look so cool. But everyone who retweets something like that, you're petty, and it shows a lot of jealousy, and it shows that you're focused on the wrong things. You could say have fun staying poor to your coworker that says, well, I'm going to trust my Vanguard, wealth manager. It's like, yeah, have fun staying poor there where they're paying 2% to get 3%. But let's stay in context. Drake ain't going to be poor in any lifetime, in any timeline. And anyone who says that, they're just jealous.
Like I said, man, solid take.
Yeah.
That was good. Humble, do you have anything on this one?
No, I mean, they could go on for a very long time. So I really, it's really not much to say on that one. I totally agree with that. I think it's really fake and gay. It's just engagement, and like, do better. Come on, seriously. Just get the newer plebs riled up. Like, that's right, man. They should have bought Bitcoin. Like, come on, seriously. Shut up. Respectfully, shut up.
Agreed. All right, we're going to move on to the we're almost done here, guys. We been gone through quite a lot of stuff. This was actually a last minute entry here from Ulric, right? Jim or James Chanos. Sometimes you think that time is a flat circle.
I wish this guy would stop shorting MicroStrategy so I could sell at the top.
Yeah. You know what? It's so funny. It's like all these MicroStrategy bros are hating on this guy, and the funny thing is, and in all fairness, he's like, he's most likely dead wrong about Bitcoin,
right?
But he
Who
understands.
is this guy? Who is he?
He's a TradFi. He's an old TradFi guy. Who knows his stuff about TradFi. And understands companies actually need to earn money to stay in business. Like they can't just dilute their shareholders forever. Yes, it works for a certain period of time. Everybody knows that, but not forever. Anyways, so here we go. This is why I was saying time is a flat circle. We're going back in time here, guys. What prevents another acceptable hard limit coin creation protocol, given the now substantial economic incentive, Bitcoin over 2 trillion, to do so? This is human construct after all. When all is said and done, there is no law of physics that states Bitcoin has to be the only one. And he fell for the oldest shitcoin trap in the book. Right? So not that I want to rehash everything that we already know, but the TLDR is that the environment which Bitcoin was created in will never exist again. That was the one-time event, right? We had the convolutions of the 2008 financial crisis, and on top of that, over like 60 years of innovation in tech and encryption, and like that, those conditions are so incredibly difficult to reproduce. And not only that, but this had never existed before. So again, that is part of the conditions for Bitcoin. So the idea that you can just let the genie out of the lamp again and again and again, that's nonsense. You can only let the genie out of the lamp once. Then everybody knows there's a genie in the lamp. Anyways.
He's probably a Caspa ambassador. It's probably, he'll come out as as one of those in the future. Because they're making their rounds,
Then he wouldn't be as smart as Phil and I are purporting. But I would say that, when with regards to his statement, he's ignoring that he's considering Bitcoin just software, and he's not considering the network effect that Bitcoin is more than just code, but it's people and it's hardware and it's communication and it's cryptography and it's all these things. And guess what? If you wanted to say, hey, that's what forking is. You can fork Bitcoin and you could say, now go ahead and start it. See what happens. No one's going to play in your little bubble. Like that's what it boils down to. The time it took to get to Bitcoin where it is like, there's no stopping this train, not to rehash a tired euphemism as well. But it's like, it's true. And if you want to recreate it, or if you say someone can just recreate it, it would have been done. But they know, and that's the disingenuous part from this very intelligent man, that if it could have been copied, it would have, just like MicroStrategy is being copied, just like video game systems are copied, just like Jordan shoes are copied, or Prada bags. If it could be copied, it would. So tell me, Jim, why isn't it? Because it can't.
13 million altcoins exist right now, and the number keeps going up, and not a single one can hold a candle to Bitcoin. So do we really think it's going to be number 16,000,005 that kills Bitcoin? Right? It wasn't 16,000,004, but 16,000,005 really had those features, just fucking took the thunder out from Bitcoin. I'm telling you, just all of it is so stupid. Okay. Anyways, we are going to move on to, that's right, the moment everybody's been waiting for, Bitcoin treasury companies. Oh my God, that's amazing. I love Bitcoin treasury companies. That's right. We're going to pull up some of this stuff. So first up, we've got this Convano. Releases plan to own 21,000 BTC by end of March 2027 and raise 2 billion JPY, so that's 13 million US, to buy more Bitcoin. I know, I never heard of this company either. I looked them up. Turns out they're like a nail, they own like a nail salons or something like that, and they do like they do like building management and stuff in Japan. I mean, look, like they actually seem to have a legitimate business, and they're just buying Bitcoin. So that's, to me, like, I kind of want to see that. I want to see legitimate businesses that actually buy Bitcoin. Yeah.
It's just that, we obviously see that these companies are not, these other ones that we're talking about are obviously not legitimate businesses. They're saying, hey, we need your shareholder equity to buy Bitcoin, and then we need to dilute it to make more shareholder equity to buy Bitcoin, and we'll continue to dilute until we can barely pay the bare minimum on our debt, and hopefully Bitcoin goes up enough so that it will be worth it in the end. But meanwhile, all you people, you think you're early, you're actually our exit liquidity. Or you're actually just our fodder for Bitcoin. And it's funny because the people who will probably benefit most from these Bitcoin treasury companies are the people who come in kind of late, not the ones that are early. I used to think that. Of course, MicroStrategy, before the playbook, anyone who was there early, like pre-2023, they're good. But once you hit that November 24 timeframe, MicroStrategy has been flat as Bitcoin has gone up, 50%. What gives? There's no answer to that. The catch is, guess what? He bit off more than he can chew. And yeah, he may go up. If Bitcoin goes to 150, of course MicroStrategy will go up. But at what cost? Bro. Say that again?
Cheap interest, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Cheap interest.
Man, cheap interest. Come on, what are you talking about? These loans are practically free.
Bitcoin per share.
Free. And Bitcoin goes up forever. Come on, man. We're just not doing the math.
50% annually. Here's the funny thing. You know, I did a video on MicroStrategy 4 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, and I did a clip on Joe Burnett, one of the other young guys that are propping up these treasury companies. He uses intelligent, what is it called? Intelligent leverage. And he used one of his arguments. He said, you know, Bitcoin's CAGR is 50% annually, 50% annual. I'm like, that's interesting. 50% annual. Okay, fine. Now, since the summer, the narrative, I saw Mark Moss say 30% and CAGR or 30% annual. So it's like the narrative of what Bitcoin will do in the future is now scaling back. People are stepping away from that very bullish number, and they're saying, oh, it's 30% now. So it's like, you know, the further you go into time, the more they have to rewash their narratives. I believe you said, I think someone posted something. Oh yeah, Predator posted something about MicroStrategy. I don't know if that's in the chat, but it's like his plan for the MNAV, what he's going to do if their stock is MNAV 1.5 to 0.5.
Yes.
What they'll do if it's 1.5 plus. And they changed it. What they said on August 15th was different on August 8th. It's crazy. But no one will notice that. They'll just look at here we are now, 1984 stuff.
Dude, they're just buying the fucking hopium, man. Again, I put out this post like 4 months ago, right? It's the Pied Piper. It's literally the song from the 1960s, the Pied Piper. Like that's what it is. It's this guy leading a whole bunch of other people, you know, like off the cliff. And no joke, it's just so sad. Everybody just drinks the Kool-Aid. Speaking of Kool-Aid drinking, here we go, right? From btctreasuries.net. I like this account. They do a good job of reporting on all of the Bitcoin treasury companies. 100 million Ego Death Capital partner Preston Pish says Bitcoin treasury companies are the super spreaders quietly rewiring capital allocation in the public markets. And this is my issue right here. The quietly rewiring capital allocation in the public markets. I mean, are we just pretending? Is that what's happening here, where we're pretending that companies that don't actually have a real product or service are somehow going to save? Somehow, like what are they saving? They just save us all? I just don't get it. Right?
I have a problem with the fact that they said super spreaders, and they're associating that with like it's a good thing though. Like, what are you doing?
Preston Pish is always using these biological analogies. Super spreader.
Oh, he's an army dude, isn't he?
What is it like? It's an amoeba. Mitochondria. Like, what the hell? Like, chill you get one in poker. We say like you get one time. One time is where you pray for like a 2-outer so you can stay on the table. Like, I just need a 2 of spades, and you get it. That's the one time. You don't get that miracle anymore. Preston keeps doing the one time with the biological references. I'm so sick of super spreader and mitochondria. It's just, come up with new material, man. Come up with new material.
Mitochondria is something that you need, right? But super spreaders, like, that's not the thing. Remember COVID?
Biological.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I just had to chime in there, Phil.
Of course, that was the whole point.
Yeah,
that's the whole point, is that you guys chime in. It's complete nonsense. This wording.
Maybe they are super spreaders if we're going to look at it in a negative context. You know, I mean, okay, there we go. It's another one. I think we need that. Who says that? Mm-hmm. Whose song is another one? The rapper?
Oh, DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
DJ Khaled, yeah.
We need to start doing that on the show.
Oh, like you or something. What does he say? I forget.
Like another one.
Another one. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about that post, the BitcoinTreasuries.net. A lot of stuff has been coming out about all these, to kind of make people feel better about the sideways crab action. We talk about BlackRock, we talk about MicroStrategy, like they bought so many coins, You know, I want to give people their own homework. If they go to that bitcointreasuries.net site and they talk about all these companies that have Bitcoin, we always talk about how BlackRock has 700,000 coins. BlackRock does. That's like saying Coinbase has 8 million coins. Like all those coins, they didn't actively say, I bought this and I believe in this. So BlackRock is a custodian or a middleman for the ETF holders. And it's like, if you look at bitcointreasuries.net, I think BlackRock is actually on that list, and it shows that they have like 8 Bitcoin. They really don't care about Bitcoin. But if you listen to the hopium spreaders, the cheerleaders, they say BlackRock Bitcoin, that means Bitcoin won. BlackRock doesn't care about Bitcoin. They care about being the middleman for transactions. They care about custodial fees. BlackRock, I think they're on the bottom of that list with like 8 or 10 Bitcoin. It's hilarious, but we always say BlackRock has 700,000 Bitcoin. It's the stupidest psyop I've ever seen. They don't have that. Otherwise, we say that Coinbase has all those coins. Coinbase has 8,000 coins. We don't say Coinbase has 8 million coins. Why don't we say that?
That's because Brian Armstrong hates Bitcoin. And he loathes it. Every day he wakes up and he's reminded that the only reason he has anything is because of Bitcoin. So.
I think BlackRock is more interested in Ethereum, Solana, so forth. That's what they want to put everything under contracts. So,
well, Larry Fink has definitely been talking about the tokenization, right? Like they are a lot of the banks are really excited about stable coins, tokenizing securities, right? And finding out how to keep everybody corralled in their little gardens. That's what they're really excited. And they love Bitcoin. So,
yeah. But the education aspect of it, I mean, he's definitely into that, like, being able to tokenize education. So that's something to always keep your eye on when things are changing in the world.
Weird. I just looked it up. BlackRock has 6 Bitcoin, according to bitcointreasuries.net. 6. But we always say BlackRock has 700,000. It's crazy.
Of course they do. Man, just trust me. It sounds so much better. I want to feel good about Bitcoin, Ulric. I just want to feel good about it. So tell me things I want to hear. Anyway, speaking of which, speaking of things we don't want to hear about, let's move on here. We got just a couple more two more Treasury posts. So everybody knows that the NACA deal closed, right? The NACA deal, for the people who don't know, right? NACA's David Bailey's concoction that merged with Kindly, which is like medical devices or something. I know Semler does medical devices. I forget what Kindly does. Anyways, doesn't matter. NACA pipe investors got in at $1.12 with no lockup. 455 million shares at $20. They're sitting on a 20x, but with average daily volume around 2 million, there's $10 billion in potential sell pressure waiting to dump. Post-merge, things are going to get ugly. Yeah. Imagining the dummy buys at $20. Okay. So I'm not surprised, of course, right? Because I've been listing what a lot of these companies, right? What a lot of these companies are like. Essentially what I do is every single time I hear about one of these public companies that's merging, right? The first thing I do is I go take a look. I take a look at their long chart to see if it's a pump and dump. And then next I go take a look at I review their financials. And again, it's the same story over and over again, right? It's just the same story over and over again. These are just garbage companies that are desperately looking for a way to extend their runway. And I'm not blaming them for that, right? Every single organism's our goal is to survive. Okay. So there's no surprise there. Okay. So of course a business is going to sit there and try to figure out a way to survive. Now, whether it's going to use, whether it's going to come up with a real product or service to market, or it's going to do this nonsense. But yeah, I feel bad for the people who bought this crap after it came out and, thought that it was going to go somewhere. Let's be honest. Kind of knew it wouldn't. And not to say that those shares, maybe can't do something in the future. But again, guys, without actual proper cash flows and them continually diluting shares and or offering bonds. The only thing that's holding this stuff up is appetite from investors, and human behavior is cyclical. So good luck. Good luck overcoming those cycles.
I keep telling people that they think that these treasury companies are going to prop up the Bitcoin through a potential bear market. And I'm like, dude, like these Bitcoin treasury companies, they own 1 million coins collectively. The ETFs, which are all owned by tourists, that's 1 million Bitcoin. We have probably 1.7 from the treasury companies, 1 million from the ETFs. That's like 3 million coins. There's 14 million coins unaccounted for everywhere else from all individuals. 8 million on Coinbase, probably another 6 million on Binance. All the self-custody. Maybe I'm overestimating. The point is that these companies are a small fraction of the overall ecosystem. These companies are going to get wrecked when the big pockets decide that the music is going to stop playing. And it's like I don't know where people get the idea that this time is different because a few public companies that don't even create cash flows are trying to create pump and dumps. It's I guess we gotta learn again, right? That's why they call them cycles.
This time it's different. All right, Humble, any thoughts on this or no? Yes, no.
No, I just wanted to draw attention. I saw the post that you put up from H. Rourke about BlackRock.
Yes,
promoted.
Thank you.
Promoted the interim head of LEF. Yeah, it's kind of
see that.
It's just interim.
So
not crazy?
They also said that what's his name? Klaus Schwab, is that his name? Yeah. He was cleared of any wrongdoing allegedly, and that was either today or yesterday. So I don't know how long he's going to be interim, but if he gets his position back, but that they literally just said that I think today. So we'll see if that interim really takes any significant hold.
It's just kind of funny to think that like they're not a big club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, maybe Klaus suddenly was under investigation about these things that nobody knew was happening, right? Because they wanted Fink to be in that position, and that's what had to happen. But I guess time will tell. We can put our tinfoil hats on all we want.
Weirder and weirder. Okay, guys, we're gonna end on a light note. I think we're gonna do Predator's post. I want to do Predator's post. That's gonna make people upset and everything.
So much for light.
Yeah, it was between this and the 10 HODLER commandments, and you know what? It's like no, I'd rather.
Oh no, I would have thrown up.
Yeah. So here we go, guys. The life cycle of a Bitcoin influencer. Hold on to your hats. You're going to figure out where you are in this cycle. I could figure out where I am in this cycle. So let's pay attention. An honest Bitcoin pleb starts a podcast. Okay, go on. You start to promote referral links, but they're from aligned sponsors. Okay. You crank up the clickbait and whisper to yourself, I'm not proud of it, but I'm doing this for the greater good of the planet. I definitely know.
That's the BIAC people, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You've reached 100K subscribers. A sketchy Bitcoin lending platform offers you $1 million a year to shill their service. You take the deal, but you feel guilty about it. What Bitcoin did. You've obtained all the fame and wealth you ever dreamed of, but the subscriber growth has plateaued. The daily podcast grind no longer gives you the same dopamine hit as it used to. David Bailey slides into your DMs with a CEO gig for a penny stock. This is it. This is how I bring meaning back into my life. Now you're peddling paper Bitcoin schemes and discouraging self-custody as your full-time job. Concept creep is a bitch. So yeah, I can actually honestly say I walked away at step number 3 from a previous platform that became this. So yeah, I could tell you that it all depends on the individual. It depends on what, knowing yourself, what you want out of life, and, just teach their own, but look, I don't think I've said this before. Obviously, I don't think there's anything wrong with making money. Every single person gets paid. Everybody needs to put a roof over their head, right? Everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs clothes. So the idea that, someone's shitting on somebody else for taking business or whatever, it's just nonsense. However, we as individuals do have a choice that we can make when a sponsor approaches us with a product that can lead a viewer or a listener to getting wrecked. Okay. And if I decide to take that money over that moral, that is my choice, and I inherit the results of that choice. And I should have personal responsibility over making that choice. And unfortunately, because we live in such a world where everything, like Humble alluded to earlier, everybody just offsets everything to a third party, all the responsibility to everyone else. It is the same thing with this. And we saw it happen with, I hate to do the name dropping thing, but I'm going to do it anyways, with Peter McCormack and BlockFi. Okay. He shilled that crap to everyone. They got fucking wrecked. So did Pump. Right. And, but Peter specifically, right, he was being told by tons of people like, dude, this makes no sense. These guys are going to get a whole bunch of people wrecked, and no, it's safe, and this and that and all this crap. And look at my Aston Martin. And you know something? After it all fell apart, he still did not take responsibility for that. He did not sit there in front of everyone and say, you know what? I should have known better. I shouldn't have shilled this, but I did. And I'm genuinely sorry, whatever it was, but just something to at least acknowledge that you're a fucking human, So anyways, all right. Sorry, I'm done.
No, I think that's important, because these are examples that once they happen a long enough time ago, people generally forget. But there are the people that when you come into the space and you see, oh, wow, like look at all these super important people, and they're talking, they're going into spaces, and they like what I like. And, we have to remember that Bitcoin is an offshoot of finance. It really is. It's money. Finance is going to be a part of it. Of course, there are other tertiary or tangential things like, being healthy, Austrian economics. But there's a lot of finance here. And with finance comes financial schemes, Ponzi's, etc. And, Bitcoin is trying to fix this per se. And we have a lot of people who purport that, but actually they're just trying to manifest or continue more of the same nonsense under a different name. There's so many people that come into this space and they're trying to rug you hopeful, bright, doe-eyed people who just want to see the world better. I want to see the world better. But at the same time, you have to have thick enough skin and a smart enough mental to understand that there are people out there that aren't there for your betterment. They're there for, like it said, for their betterment. And like Pletter's list, it said like it's for the greater good. If I do this, because my message is going to increase, I'll be able to reach more people. But you're going to have to reach more people saying the wrong things, saying the things that will hurt people. And we have on the Pleb Underground, we don't care. Look, that $1 million deal, that sounds nice, but at what cost? It's like we're all going to be better off because of Bitcoin. And I think that we have to remember that sometimes good things take time, and the road less traveled is, when you get there, it's probably going to feel a lot better than if you took that short compromising road. And if it doesn't, I think that tells a lot about what your heart is composed of. And we all know that from my worldview, from my background, all people are basically evil. But we still have the free will to fight that to a degree.
I like that. Well said. Humble, any thoughts on the influencer roadmap?
I think it's something that we see all too often, and it's really sad because so many of us came into the space because we wanted a voice, and we came in with our true, authentic self. And the moment you lose your voice, your true, authentic voice, is the moment you've been captured. And a lot of people won't see it. A lot of people will just believe everything that you're saying because they were with you from the beginning, but they don't really understand that you've changed and you're not saying the things that you used to say because it's kind of happening slowly. Um, but yeah, it happens, and the very thing that we're fighting against, these fiat incentives, this fiat world, um, people fall right into, and so true colors end up coming out. And I think that's what you just have to acknowledge, that, the majority of us, like what Ulric said, yeah, there's evil. There's evil inside. But many of us have been approached, and many of us have said no. We've said no. I can't be my true authentic self, or, I know nothing about your company. Why am I just going to start shilling it? It's not like I use your product. It's not like I intimately understand anything that's going on here. I'm not going to be bought and paid for and then not have a voice to be able to explore and share the truth. So I'm here for the truth. I'm still here for the revolution, and pay attention to those who are, and remain that way, have been steadfast. It takes time, got to be around and remaining that way, not bought and paid for quite a while.
It's not an easy road. It definitely isn't an easy one. I just don't understand how people could sit there and talk about self-sovereignty and and all this stuff, and at the same time have a ticker symbol floating by on the bottom of their screen. It's like, buy Bitcoin, but also buy these shares.
Hey,
Each their own.
I remember my time with my buddy Corey's company, and they said, "Hey, put this marathon banner down there." I'm like, "Okay." So, I had to learn.
Yeah.
I had to learn that, and it was easy. I'll tell you, it's much easier to learn when you watch them dilute the hell out of their shares. I'll tell you, when at the beginning, when everyone's making money, it's like, oh wow, it's marathon, blah, blah, blah. And then when you see what they're going to do to the owners of the company, to the shareholders of the company, it's like, you know what, we really don't care about y'all. We'll dilute the shares 4 times just so we can keep the doors open, make you lose all your potential gains that you can get from a Bitcoin run up. Lessons were learned by me back then. And I don't need no marathon. I don't need no Hive ticker. I don't need no Riot ticker. I just need to talk about Bitcoin to you guys out there, and whomever is going to listen, that's good enough for me. It's good to have, money coming in where you don't have to take money from the bad guys. It's weird to say, weird to call them bad guys. I'm going to call them, let's just call them people that
don't align with you.
People that don't align with you. That's what I'll say. And, I have a job, I have a career. I love working with the Pleb Underground to do this in my extracurricular time. And now I can't be bought. And I think we should all put ourselves in a position where we can't be bought. And maybe that means that Bitcoin needs to go up to 500,000, maybe needs to go up to 200,000, whatever the case may be. But make sure you have a path for yourself so that you can't be bought. And that's called sovereign individualism.
All right, you guys heard it here first. Ulric is calling the $500,000 You heard it here first.
Chart is incoming, right?
That's right. Okay, no, but that is going to do it for us today, guys.
I'd be so bad at work if it hit 500K.
I know. It's man. I was already bad the first time we crossed 69K the first time. I still remember that. I was like we fucking won. All right. So I was about to do a countdown for some reason. I was about to do 3, 2. Anyways, guys, it's going to wrap up the show. We're done. Don't forget to check us out on the audio only platforms. Of course, guys, we're going to upload this to Spotify, and it also ends up on fountain.fm if you want to stream us sats. It's going to do it for us. Have a great evening. Catch you on the next one. Oh, wait, before we end. So we were doing this once a month, and because of your guys' amazing reception and how much you love interacting with us, and we love interacting with you guys in the chat and everything, we're going to be doing these twice a month now. So that's right. More work for us, more entertainment for you, and lots more complaining and Bitcoin signal for everyone. All right, guys. Have a great night, everybody. Any final words here? Let's go through the list. Humble, final words?
Yeah. Have a great evening. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time, couple weeks.
Cool. Ulric?
I saw a few people wanted me to go out and have some karate combat with people. I would love to have a reason to fight because I'm not a fighter, but give me an incentive. Get me, maybe I could put some money on myself. I only bet on myself to win, of course. But I would love to throw on the mitts and beat up someone my similar size. I could never put myself in a ring with Peter McCormack. It would just be unfair. But I'm 6'2", 195, 200. Let's see who's out there who wants to take me on.
Very sweet. We don't want Ulric fighting. I want him in one piece.
I like my face, actually. We're helmets. Helmets
All right, guys. That's going to do it for us. Have a great night. Take it easy.